Hello everyone, welcome to Kambel Masterclass. My name is Moses Katamani. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate all people, all teachers who participated in our training course, Effective Classroom Management. Actually, the training has been very revealing, and the comments, the commendations, the suggestions are really on point and very welcome. I want to do a short review and emphasize on my summary that I've given at the end of the course. Throughout the course, we look at effective classroom management, and we look at effective classroom management from the concept point of view, what the concept is. And the concept is actually focusing on how to manage your class to get results, the objective set. At the end of your lesson, you should be able to achieve results without much distraction. So we look at the concept from different dimensions, which those who have access to the video can access it and listen to it. After that, we look at the importance of classroom management. In your class, your focus is to achieve your objectives, and that if you are able to manage the system, manage the pupils, manage the materials, organize your materials, and you are able to achieve results, it is important. Therefore, classroom management is very important. After that, we look at the challenges that a teacher faces in the classroom. We identify most of the challenges. We look at it from the point of view where children have personal needs, and you need to identify. They have learning difficulties, you need to identify. All these are challenges that pertain to teaching and learning in the class. And if these things are not identified and you don't know how to manage it, it will become difficult for you in the teaching and learning process. With that, we look at the challenges and how they affect the class. In that context, I emphasize that anytime these things arise and you are not able to manage them, it affects your teaching and learning in class. After looking at that, we went on to look at what I refer to as rules of engagement. Rules of engagement. And in the context of rules of engagement, I emphasize that yes, rules of engagement is a military term. It is about directives. However, in the context of the classroom, in the teaching and learning process, you can also make rules, and that those rules will guide how you manage and relate with the pupils and students in the teaching and learning process. And that if you are going to succeed with your rules of engagement, then what is needed is that first you should make rules that you follow in the class. First, with the children together, you make the rules of engagement for the pupils and students. This is what I want to emphasize to everybody who have access to our videos. What I'm trying to emphasize in the context of rules of engagement is that if you are going to make the rule, make sure you involve the children. And if they are part of the rule making or the laws, they will know that we all accept that this is how we will manage, this is how we behave in class, and we will not disturb our teacher. It becomes collective responsibility, yes, between the teacher and the pupils. And now you, the teacher, if you are going to achieve a result in your class, then you must also make rules for yourself, rules of engagement for yourself, and that you should be able to go by the rules. You should be conscious about it, and with that you can be able to manage your class. So I say that the concept is one thing that I've discovered, and this one, in fact, when I was studying political science, I discovered this, I studied it. After that, I asked myself, how can we apply this in the teaching and learning process and human relationship? So it's not only going to be rules of engagement in my context, it's not going to be applied to teachers and pupils. I'm also trying to do some work to relate to other human engagement. So rules of engagement is one of the interesting part of our course which we have discussed, and the report we are receiving from our participants are very encouraging. Now, from rules of engagement, I already said that rules of engagement is also part of the strategy for managing your class. We continue and look at effective classroom management strategies. And in the strategies, I mentioned so many things. And the reminder one is that to be able to achieve your result in class, first of all, you need to know to identify your pupils and students, their capabilities, weaknesses, their misbehavior and misdemeanor. All of them you have to. One. Another thing is that you need to identify their learning difficulties. After that, you have to set rules, appreciable limits in the class in order to be able to manage the system. We went on to say that when you set rules in the class, and I related to rules of engagement, even in fact in the strategy I refer to rule of engagement severally, because that becomes the context of what we are doing, because it's very important if all these things are needed. So I went on, I discussed so many of them. It was a very interesting discussion. Then I went on and I looked at the final part of our discussion, that is about tips for dynamism. And in that case, I focus more on collective responsibility of stakeholders. I identified the stakeholders, and I said, which I want to emphasize again to everybody, is that in the school system, the first person who we all have collective responsibility to, who is a stakeholder, is the pupil or the student. Pupils and students are part of the stakeholders, and every other stakeholder, the teacher, the school management, officers from offices that come to supervise the school, the government, those in the ministries of education or educational service, all of them are stakeholders. Every other person who have vested interest in the school system and the policies of a school in any country in Africa or elsewhere, they are part of stakeholders in the school system. And that everybody who is a stakeholder, which is our focus, must know first their responsibility. After you know your responsibility, you must now know how to contribute to the system and be able to contribute effectively for the educational policies, the educational goals, and at the end, the objectives of education in the classroom, in the teaching and learning process will be achieved. If this is done, and every stakeholder in the system, in your country, in your school, and wherever you are, where the school is, the participation is effective, it becomes collective. Everybody is ready to listen to the teacher when they are able to find out the challenges the pupils have in the class. Then collectively we are helping the teacher to help the pupils and students to achieve their educational goals and aspirations. Within that, I refer back to, when I talk about dynamism, I refer back to all the discussions, and I have emphasized that when we talk about dynamism, it is about doing things in different ways, not being static, doing it in a way that there are changes that are brought to bear within the system, so that becomes dynamism. You don't do things the same way. I give examples, and when you have access to that video, you will be able to listen effectively and effectively decode all the discussions that we had. I want to say that this is a very wonderful experience for us at Kambel Masterclass. And the participants, some people are already sending out their commendations, and we appreciate all your commendations. We also appreciate your suggestions. In fact, some suggestions that we received along the discussion, along the course, help us to improve. And if you are critical and you can evaluate all our videos, you realize that the videos also improve along the line up to the last one. I, as a presenter, I also knew that there were some lapses within the presentation, miscommunication sometimes. Those are evaluations, and we want to be critical and give the best to our learners. Those who participate in our course will not participate in vain, and they will say, oh, we wasted our time. No, I believe that everybody who participated in the course will agree with us that it has not been a wasted time. Finally, some people said they want to have certificate and materials. We've put out the conditions there and how you will be able to get access to the certificate. Is a certificate of training, and on our certificate, what is good is that all the topics that we have treated, all the 6 topics that we have treated in the teaching, in the course, they are all on the certificate. And everybody or anybody who is going to access the certificate you present as a certificate of training to show that you are improving on yourself, or you are having in-service training as a teacher, all the topics are there. Then when you have have access to the material relates to the certificate you have. It will help you to defend your position. And lastly, from the participant that we have his comment, she noted, or he or she noted, they don't identify the gender, noted that he or she hopes to use the training as a way of improving him or herself. And I hope that everybody who participates will be able to use this training course to improve yourself in the teaching and learning process, to upgrade what you do in your class. And I can assure you that you'll be able to achieve your goals. There are challenges, but you can surmount the challenges. And finally, what I said, at the end of the training is that if you strive to be your best self, you can bring out the best in people. And that as a teacher, if you are determined to bring out the best in yourself, you will be able to bring out the best out of your pupils and students. I hope you will meditate or reflect on this statement, because it will help you in your profession as a teacher, and that whatever somebody else have done to you which have not helped you and which has limited you some ways, and you are getting access to this knowledge and skills, make sure that you manage the pupils and you help them to achieve their God-given potential. Finally, there are so many challenges in the system, but if you can tell yourself that I want to be my best self and bring out the best in my pupils and students, it is possible and it is doable. Always remember, at Kambel, we anchor vision and mission. Thank you for following us.